Hello friends, welcome to PMIAS and welcome to this second lecture of Anthropology Optional for UPSC CSC 2024. So let's begin the discussion. So here we will start from topic relationships with other disciplines and paper for paper first topic number 1.2. Okay, so here this is the introduction of relationship with other disciplines. Anthropology has become a broad-based study, much more than any other scientific discipline, as it has to deal with a wider variety of problems. Anthropology includes a broad range of approaches derived from both natural as well as social sciences. The place of social anthropology in relation to other social sciences is discussed here. Okay, so you can understand here we will understand the social anthropology as well as the physical anthropology with the scientific observation related to the anthropological perspective. Social anthropology has a close relationship to these social sciences. With social sciences such as the socio-cultural anthropology, like these social sciences such as earth sciences, life sciences, okay, humanities, etc., and it shares its subject matter with many other disciplines, but it does not restrict itself to the problems of other disciplines. A distinction is that it studies mainly in small scale societies, because anthropology studies mainly individualistic and studies thoroughly with the individualistic manner, whereas the sociology studies the more number of persons, more number of societies, or more number of individuals than anthropology. And social anthropologists, more than the social sciences, need to have acquaintance with some of the concepts and methods of a number of other subjects such as sociology, psychology, as well as other social sciences. A marked difference is that this social anthropology as well as sociology study mainly simple and small scale societies and confront the problems of society differently from the related specialist subjects in confronting the same kind of problem in complex societies. So you can remember. So here we will start with the relationship between social anthropology and sociology. So here the sociology is a science of society that studies human behavior in groups, whereas anthropology is a science of man in totality with time and space, and studies anthropology studies human behavior in social surroundings. It is clear that the subject matter of sociology and social anthropology is common to a great extent, whereas social anthropology studies more number of individual or more number of societies, whereas anthropology studies a small number of groups or a small number of individuals. Sociology and anthropology have highly influenced each other according to Hubble. Okay, so you can remember, because these anthropologists are very important when it comes to the universal perspective of these differences between sociology as well as between anthropology and other anthropological disciplines. According to Hubble, that sociology and social anthropology in their broadest senses are one and the same. According to Evans Pritchard, takes social anthropology as a branch of sociological studies that devotes primitive societies. So you can remember anthropology, social anthropology mainly indulge in the primitive societies, whereas sociology studies mainly to the mainstream societies like urban societies. According to Radcliffe Brown, suggests that anthropology be renamed comparative sociology concerning the tendency in the United States. According to Levi Strauss, wants to regard sociology as a special form of anthropology. So you can remember this. Okay, according to John Beatty, points out the difference in the area of study. John Beatty writes sociology is by definition concerned with the investigation and understanding of social relations and with other data only insofar as they further this understanding. Social anthropologists, although as we have seen, they share this concern with sociologists, are interested also in other matters such as people's beliefs and values, even where these cannot be shown to be directly concerned with social behavior. So you can remember. Indeed, social anthropologists are culturally anthropologists as well. Okay, so you can remember here the social anthropologists are cultural anthropologists as well. For example, people's religious and cosmological ideas do not necessarily reflect their social system, though it has sometimes been assumed that they do. And even where such relationships can be established, the anthropologist's interest in people's ideas is to by no means exhausted when these connections have been pointed out. So you can remember this. Okay. And different methods of data collection and analysis emerged to deal with those different kinds of societies. According to anthropologists, social anthropologists, to study large scale complex societies, sociologists use questionnaire and other means of gathering masses of quantifiable data. Okay, so these are the characteristics of the social anthropology in comparison to the sociology. Okay, and here the more emphasize the sociology studies these sociologists use questionnaires as well as the quantifiable data in the large number of data collection. Sampling and statistical techniques have been basic to sociology. Okay, so here the difference between the sociology as well as social anthropology. Traditional ethnographers studied small scale study societies without written records. So it is a proto historic record data collection because of data no available record of this traditional ethnographers studies. One of their key methods is participant observation. So you can remember it is very important, which we will understand in the 6th chapter of anthropology syllabus. Taking part in events, one is observing, describing and analyzing. So this is the characteristic of participant observation. Social anthropologists have mostly worked in unfamiliar culture, in the primitive culture. That is why in anthropological field work, a sound knowledge of the language of the community being studied is indispensable for people's categories of thought, and the forms of their language are inextricably bound together. Sociologists usually suggest means for improvement along with its study. In comparison, the study of anthropology is more neutral and the anthropologists do not offer suggestions. Interdisciplinary collaboration is a hallmark of academic life today with ready borrowing of ideas, methods between disciplines. Okay, among contemporary societies which are neither primitive or industrially advanced, which is mainly neither primitive nor more modern societies, of which India may be taken as an example, because here there is not more modern societies as well as not more primitive societies. It is a medium term, that is town like societies inhabited in India. Distinction between the two disciplines has little meaning. Okay, both carried out studies on caste system, village communities, industrialization, globalization, intercity life. Again, anthropologists and sociologists share an interest in issues of race, ethnicity, social class, gender, and power relations in modern nations, including the United States and Canada, because United States and Canada both are highly urbanized societies. Okay, so you can remember this. Next is the relationship between, uh, sorry, the relationship between social anthropology as well as history. In this similarities and differences between these two terms, social anthropology and history, historians are more interested in particular sequences of the past, from ancient to modern and present, as well as expected to the future. Not future, but it is a present, because history is a myth that evolved from the prehistoric times to the present. Anthropologists are centrally interested in understanding the present conditions of culture or community which they are studying. But the two disciplines have a close relationship, both history and ethnography. Ethnography means the study of or the measurement of the cross cultural comparison technique in applied for the extraction of anthropological theories. And ethnography here means the measurement of the linguistically cohabitant people in the area, in any areas of the world. And both history and ethnography are concerned with societies other than the one in which the researchers lives. Okay, where primitive societies are exist. Whether this otherness is due to remoteness in time and to remoteness in space, or even to cultural heterogeneity, and is of the secondary importance compared to the basic similarity of perspective. A historian or ethnographer enlarges a specific experience to the dimensions of a more general one. Okay, so remember this. In order to succeed, both historian and ethnographer must have the same qualities. That is, skill, precision, a sympathetic approach, and objectivity. According to Levi-Strauss, suggests that the historian and ethnographer have the same qualities in the study of the primitive societies. According to John Beatty, history may be important to social anthropologists, and not only as an account of past events leading up to and explaining the present, but also as a body of contemporary ideas which people have about these events, what the English philosopher Collingwood aptly called encapsulated history. So you can remember this encapsulated history, coined by Collingwood. Collingwood. Okay, and people's ideas about the past are an intrinsic part of the contemporary situation, which is of immediate concern to anthropologists, and often they have important implications for existing social relationships. So this is the similarities between social anthropology and history. About the fundamental difference between these are the difference between the two disciplines. According to Levi Strauss, also writes that it is not on the subject of study or goal or method, because they share the same subject. history and social anthropology, because they study the primitive man. History studies the from ancient to present, whereas anthropology, social anthropology studies primitive societies to the modern societies, and it more emphasizes about the primitive societies. Okay, so which is in the social life the same goal, which is a better understanding of man, and in fact the same method in which only the proportion of research techniques varies. Okay, you can remember here only the research techniques varies, because in history there is a primitive societies we can only understand through the prehistoric man, through excavation of the individuals or fossils of the primitive man. Okay, and through the prehistoric societies we can understand through the uh, this instrument such as archaeological survey of India, which used in the past as well as in the present, whereas anthropology studies the fossil evidences, where the fossil evidence fossils, whether fossils are alive or fossil primates are alive or they are extinct, both will studied under the social anthropology. But in social anthropology only the culture of primitive man, only the culture of primitive society can be understood through the social anthropology, but fossils evidences, fossil studies come under the physical anthropology. Okay, so here we can understand the social anthropology, difference between social anthropology as well as the history. Social anthropology and history differ in their choice of complementary perspectives. History organizes its data in relation to conscious expressions of social life, while anthropology proceeds by examining its unconscious foundations. Remember this. Okay, and historians use documentary evidence infrequently all available to anthropologists. Here it is a difference, because anthropologists is more advanced than history, and anthropologists employ first hand observation, rarely possible for historians. Both are concerned with the description and understanding of rare human situations, and they use whatever methods are available and appropriate to this purpose. So here we can emphasize more of anthropology than the history. Like historians, social anthropologists bring out a general interpretations, okay, than history. Okay, so historians and social anthropologists both are taking the generalization of the general interpretation of the past as well as the present. Both anthropologists and historians attempt to represent unfamiliar social situations in terms not just of their own cultural categories, but in terms of the categories of the actors themselves. You can remember this. Okay, in this regard we can see writing of John Beatty again. He suggests that the main difference between anthropology and history lie not so much in their subject matter, because anthropology more emphasizes the primitive culture of man through the fossil evidences, whereas history understands the culture of primitive man through the archaeological evidences. Okay, so these are clear cut difference between these two terms according to John Beatty. And John Beatty writes historians are interested in the history of particular institutions in particular places, such as in Parliament in England or the Habsburg monarchy. So this is the historical evidence of John Beatty. But They are also concerned, implicitly if not explicitly, with the nature of these institutions themselves. And parallelly, a social anthropologist who is concerned with the role of chiefs in a particular society must play, that is, in the band, in the village, in the tribe, state, and kingdom. The role of chief in a particular society must play. The historian, to the extent of telling us something about the careers and activities of individual chiefs. Unless he does this, we shall find his account empty, formal, and unconvincing. So, although in a general sense, it is true that historians are concerned with what is individual and unique, social anthropologists, like sociologists, with what is general and typical. This dichotomy is altogether too simple. Okay, so you can remember, as so often in the social sciences, the difference is rarely one of the emphasized, according to John Beatty. Next, relationship between social anthropology and political science. Okay, so how political science is similar with social anthropology and how it different with social anthropology. Political science developed to investigate a particular domain of human behavior, and this political science also works mainly in modern nation. Okay, so you can remember, it studies modern nations, whereas anthropology studies the primitive nations. Primitive nations more, that is in earlier times when nation state not emerged in the world. The social anthropology is newly chapter which was developed between 18th to the 19th century. In small scale societies where social anthropology grew up, politics generally do not stand out as distinct activities to separate analysis as they do in modern societies. There is no formal authority figure. Okay, and people generally follow orders of their kin rather than formal leaders. It is found that legal codes, along with ideas of crime and punishment, means of resolving conflicts, vary substantially from culture to culture. So, this is the features of the political science, and this political science studies man as Homo politicus and seeks properties common to all political organizations in all historical and geographical diversity. George Ballandier. Okay, so remember this. This term introduced by George Ballandier. Okay, and this political science, it studies various institutions and practices that constitute the government of men and the systems of thought and the symbols on which they are based. That's political anthropology. Uh, Once again, yes, okay. Thus, political anthropology is seen as a discipline concerned with archaic societies in which the state is not clearly constituted and societies in which the state exists and takes on a wide variety of forms. It confronts the problem of the state's origin and earliest forms. And this political anthropology also confronts the problem of segmentary societies without a centralized political power. In this way, political science, the discipline which is mainly concerned with the political sphere of the modern nation, differs from social anthropology. So you can remember this. Okay, so this political anthropology is differ from social anthropology in various spheres. Next is the relationship between social anthropology and psychology. Why psychology? Because the social anthropology and psychological perspective, we can understand the thinking of primitive societies to the present societies. Like sociologists and economists, most psychologists do research in their own society. So both these similarities. And anthropology again contributes by providing cross-cultural data through the fieldwork tradition as well as participant observation. And anthropological data could be the primary as well as secondary data. Statements about human psychology cannot be based society on observations made in one society or a single type of society. Okay, an area of social anthropology known as psychological anthropology studies cross cultural variation in psychological traits. According to Margaret Mead, Ruth Benedict, and others attempted to find out different patterns and psychological traits among different cultures. Okay, so these differentiate these anthropologists such as Margaret Mead and Ruth Benedict. Both social anthropology and psychology deal with the same basic subject matter, people in relation with other people. Okay, psychology is mainly concerned with the nature and functioning of individual human minds. Social anthropology is more keenly interested in the study of various forms and structure of groups and organizations. Its unit of study is society. Because society, family is a basic unit of society. Okay, so here the psychology is a unit of study in society. It tries to psychology tries to find out types of society, their function, structure, origin and development. But psychology is not basically interested in society and their forms. It is interested in the study of an individual's behavior. Okay, broadly speaking, social anthropology studies the culture and social system in which the individuals live rather than the individuals themselves. But in the individual and society cannot exist separately from each other. Thus, the subject matter is almost the same, but with the difference in emphasis. Regarding the importance of psychology in some social anthropology, John Beatty states that, in fact, every field anthropologist must be, to a considerable extent, a practicing psychologist, for a main part of his job is to discover the thinking of those people whom he studies, and this is never a simple task. Okay, so remember this. Ideas and values are not given as data in psychology, but ideas and values are given as data in anthropology. They must be inferred, and there are many difficulties and dangers in such inferences, especially when they are made in the context of an unfamiliar culture. It may well be that there is much to be learned about the less explicit values of other cultures, especially about the kinds of symbolism involved in ritual and ceremonial through techniques of depth psychology in the tribal culture, in the tribal and primitive peoples, ceremonial as well as rituals, farewell. But a word of warning is necessary. Okay, such as incautious application in unfamiliar cultures of concepts and assumptions derived from psychological researchers in Western society may lead and indeed has led to gross distortions. And Oedipus complex. This is the example of this psychological phenomena. This Oedipus complex is something to be proved, not assumed in other cultures. Okay. However, it is likely that as psychologists increasingly work in cultures other than their own, profitable collaboration between them and social anthropologists will take place. Okay, so this is the difference between psychology and social anthropology, and relationship between social anthropology and economy. Economics is one of the oldest and theoretical most sophisticated disciplines in comparison to anthropology. Like other social sciences, economics developed to investigate particular domains of human behavior and work mainly in advanced societies and small scale societies where anthropologists mainly study. There may not be distinct economic transactions as found in the advanced societies, because in advanced societies there is exist in the give and take, such as supply and demand system, whereas in primitive societies there is a barter system, not demand and society or money system exist in the primitive societies. You can remember this. And the subject matter of economics has been defined as economizing the rational allocation of scarce means resources among alternative ends. Alternative ends, that is uses. In the West, the goal of maximizing profit, because where the tribal population exists more, that area will exist in the primitive man, such as in the Latin America. There is exist not much more the urban societies, but they are the folk society that exists is a tribe caste continuum, not continuum, because continuum means the transformation of the primitive society into the mainstream society. Okay, so in the West, the goal of maximizing profit, the profit motive society, is assumed to guide economic decision making. Studying cross culturally, the anthropologists find variation in the motivations. Anthropologists know motives other than the desire for personal gain for making economic decisions in different cultures, because anthropologists know the matter of the economic system in primitive society is more inclined to the welfare of the society. Okay, in the recent decades, fewer social cultural anthropologists have tried to borrow some general ideas from economics, because without economic, the primitive society regulate cannot be regulated them as a mainstream societies, as cannot live a better life who are living in the mainstream societies. Fewer sociocultural anthropologists have tried to borrow some general ideas from economics. So, this is the core idea. Others strongly feel that it would be irrelevant to explain economic behavior of a small scale, that is, pre industrial societies, in terms of formal economics which were developed for the industrial societies. Economic anthropology classifies the diversity of economic systems into different types at different technological levels. Anthropologists find such categories as hunter gatherer. Okay, so this is a very important in terms of the economic system in the primitive societies, or study of anthropologists in terms of the economic system. Okay, so here anthropologists find such categories as hunter gatherer or band economics, pictorial economics, hoe and forest cultivators, sedentary cultivators, as well as the barter system, exchange system, and the distribution system. Okay, and so on. These are the some anthropological perspectives of economies in the tribal societies. Some of the economic systems of small scale societies may be found strange and without formal economic value to an economist, because more involved the tribal people in the hunting and gathering, or the collection of such as food gatherings, the collection of materials such as food gathering, as well as the barter system, give and take, directly with the help of each other. If the people happen to be hunters and gatherers, the notion of hard work is likely to be misinterpreted. And in Western culture, hunting is a sport because they not believe hunting is a need of the people, but they believe hunting is a sport for the Western culture. Hence, the men in food foraging societies are often misperceived as spending virtually all of their time in recreational pursuits, while the women are seen as working themselves to born. To understand how the schedule of work or demands of a given society is balanced against the supply of goods and services available, it is necessary to introduce a non-economic variable, the anthropological variable of culture, according to Haviland. So you can remember this. Okay, so this is the difference between the social anthropology as well as the economics. Here, from this perspective, social anthropologists differ from economics. This is the difference between these two terms. For the economists, study the economic behavior and institution in purely economic terms, whereas the social anthropologists analyze this sphere of human society in relation to non-economic considerations such as social, religion, polity, their rituals and ceremonies. Okay, so remember this, the difference between social anthropologist and the sociologist or economists. Okay, next is the anthropology and earth science. Here anthropology and earth sciences have an intimate relationship. The earth sciences include geology and human geography. Okay, and archaeology is closely linked to geology. Okay, this is earth science, and this can be divided into two, that is geology as well as human geography. Okay, so remember this. Anthropology, cutting across the barriers of time and space, naturally takes interest in men's past, especially prehistoric past. Thus, archaeologists may be seen serving as the historians among anthropologists involved in the cultural reconstruction of man's past. Till some times back, the term prehistory or prehistoric archaeology has been popular. Unlike a sociocultural anthropologist, an archaeological anthropologist cannot observe human behavior and culture directly but reconstructs them from material remains like pottery, tools, cave or rock paintings, ruins of shelter, ornaments, and so many other material remains that survive the wear and tear of climate factors, such as more fossils evidences found in South and East Africa of the primitive man and the ancestor of Homo sapiens. To recreate man's past without any written record is not an easy task, because it is very difficult to find and collect any evidence of the past millions and millions years ago. It is a like jigsaw puzzle. Okay, so this is a very difficult to collect data about these primitive evidences. An interpretation of what went on in the past requires a lot of imagination and common sense. To discover, analyze, and interpret their finds, archaeological anthropologists have to take the help of geologists, human geography, and a host of other specialists. When one digs deep into the earth, one cannot do without geology, because geology is the study of geography on the earth's surface. When you date the past, you require the help of human geography and others. But despite all this interdisciplinary collaboration, the archaeological anthropologist shall always remain handicapped at least one on one count, okay, because it is very difficult for collecting of the data. Anthropologist will never or geologist will never be able to know as to what speech or language the prehistoric man was using. Still, reconstructing the past shall remain an anthropological preoccupation. Here, before launching a proper and planned investigation of the prehistoric anthropology of a selected area or region, it is quite important to study the past geography and climate besides geology. We have a fairly good account of the present day climate and geography of the world because we study more and more about geology as well as earth and its geography. But both these phenomena underwent drastic changes since the time when man the tool maker, such as the Homo erectus, first appeared in the beginning of Pleistocene epoch till today the entire world order. And this evidences of Homo erectus found from Africa, Europe as well as Asia. Hence, a thorough knowledge of these changes is a matter of concern to pinpoint sites and settlements which formed the above of human groups and their movements in search of animal and plant food. Okay, so remember this. In geology, the science of Earth's crust, provides the law of stratigraphy, which as the foundation of our knowledge of chronological order of facts with the position and nature of each stratum containing prehistoric remains furnishes information as to the relative antiquity of the finds as well as the strata. Further, the interpretation of the finds can be objectively done only when one explains the manner of the deposition of different layers. Okay, so remember this. The archaeological strata formed by the effects of geological processes and mechanisms can help us in understanding the environment that existed in the past. Okay, here as stone is the most imperishable material because we can find evidences through only by stone material. It has been extensively used in the manufacturing of tools and weapons by prehistoric communities or prehistoric man of different times, such as in Pleistocene, in Holocene, that was ongoing in present situation, present uh, period. The knowledge of different rock types in relation to different prehistoric cultures is very essential in all prehistoric investigations. For all these things, it is necessary to depend on the geologist apart from the prehistoric archaeologist who possesses a fairly good idea of these aspects. Pedology. What is this pedology? The science of soil. Pedo means soil and logos means study. So, study of soil is another potential field with which prehistory is related. The analysis of the soil is not only used in dating but also in understanding the manner of the formation of deposits as well as about the environment at the time of their formation. Because soil cannot mean only and only 100 or 200 years, but it can be made only and only thousands and millions of years ago. Okay, so soil is very important for growing of cultivation in the world. With the help of the pedologist, it is possible to know whether the deposits were natural or man-made because it is these deposits, if at all artificial, which contain remains of ancient people. So remember this. Next is the anthropology and medical sciences. So we will understand this in the next session, in the next class. Okay, so you should like the video and watch properly day by day because this initiative will not end until we have we will end the thoroughly anthropological syllabus for UPSC CSC 2024-25. Okay, so you will not miss this class because it is very important for you that more information you can grab from this YouTube channel. Okay, if you know, if you want to this PDF or this text of anthropological syllabus, you can purchase this on the Google Docs, okay, in the less price. So don't worry, I will provide this in the description. You can purchase them and read thoroughly this material, which is very crucial in your preparation. Okay, so we will end this lecture here, and we will understand this in the next class. That is, you will aware about the anthropology and medical sciences, and you will tell me where the lecture of second is ended. Okay, so thank you for watching. Have a great day.